Hello, hello, hi. It's Jane Tara from Better Reading, and this is the Wednesday night event. And of course, we're doing Q&A sessions this year, which we're really excited about. And I'm particularly excited about this one this week because I am speaking to the amazing Fiona Lowe. Hello, Fiona. And congratulations. Congratulations. You've birthed a new book baby into the world with the accident, and it kept me busy last weekend. I couldn't put it down. It was well, actually, it didn't keep me busy the whole weekend because I ripped through it actually sort of overnight, which I love when I'm reading a mystery or something with a mystery kind of thread through it. But we're going to be talking to Fiona tonight about her book, her background, her writing process. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments. I'm just bringing up our chat right now and waiting for people to come on, and they'll start to come on now in the next minute or two. But Fiona, thank you for coming on tonight. I'm really excited about this because, you really are quite prolific with your output. And I love the fact that you cross over genres as well. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you about that and how that process works for you as well. Christine, hi, Chris. Good evening, Fiona and Jane. Hello. All right, good. So that's working. So now that I know people are coming on, Fiona, do you want to just give us the elevator pitch about the accident? Yeah.
Oh, that's really hard, I find, for this book. However, I'll give it a crack.
It is because you can't. It's funny. That's interesting because I was thinking, how am I going to describe it without giving too much away? So you do it.
So there are two couples who are best friends, and the blokes have known each other since kindergarten, and the women have known each other a couple of years, and they've got their lives mapped out in front of them, and they're very excited about an upcoming wedding. And then there is an accident that turns their lives completely upside down, has them questioning everything they ever believed about themselves and each other, and actually changes their lives forever and impacts on their friendships and on their relationships with other people.
And it's very multi-layered, and I really like. I sort of try and keep my mouth zipped so I don't give away any spoilers. So I'll be really thoughtful about what I'm discussing here. But
thank you. But we can talk themes.
Yeah. Let's talk
themes without giving things away. But
well, one of the themes that I found really fascinating in this straight up is friendship and the complexity of friendship in this. And loyalty and loyalty in the face of ethical questions and things. So that's, you've made some really interesting creative choices, and particularly with Freya in one chapter. You made Freya, is it Freya?
Yeah, Freya, that's right. Yeah.
In one chapter, I loved the direction you took her at that point. I was fascinated by it. Of course, Hannah is at the center of this, and you have given her a really interesting backstory that that sort of sets up, we know about the backstory briefly, but it places her in almost a extra vulnerable position.
Hannah has very limited family, and so family and connection is very important to her. And when you've lost family, you want to hold on to what you've got, come hell or high water.
So where was the light bulb moment for this? What was it that inspired this?
Well, this book was really a very difficult write and had a very difficult birthing process and edits and everything. And there was one point in January of last year when I said, I think maybe you need to give me back my advance and I just won't finish this book. Because I don't, and I'd never said that before, but I was having there's so many big themes in the book, and
Yeah.
although I did have a sense of how I thought I wanted to finish it, I had this voice on my shoulder saying readers aren't going to like you for doing this. And that really got in the way. And the irony is that, well, at this point of 8 days plus pre-read, I haven't had anyone actually get upset about that yet. So maybe
no, and I thought it was interesting, actually.
Maybe I thought I was getting in my own way, but there were a couple of things that I really wanted to explore. So I suppose back to your light bulb moment question, there were two things. There was one thing is, how well do we really know anyone? And I've got to this stage in my life where I believe we only know people as well as they choose to show us. However, because especially women, but I mean, we see it in blokes as well, when we are in a close relationship, and whether that be a very, a BFF or whether it's an intimate relationship, because we believe we know them and we've got this trust, then when we find something out that we didn't know after a long period of time, we immediately make it about ourselves, and we're saying, well, what else haven't you told me? What else don't I know? But we feel our trust is really bruised, and it makes us question things. But it's quite interesting because someone once said, and I don't know who, I've forgotten, sorry, but they said, trust is a risk masquerading as a promise. So we launch into, and we just assume. So when a secret comes out, as secrets invariably come out, as we were chatting before we started, then we question everything. And we believe friends will support us, or our partner will support us come hell or high water, and sometimes that doesn't happen either. And sometimes that's because we're asking too much. And I'm fascinated by that motivational quote about, she's my best friend, she'd bury a dead body with me.
Yes.
I sometimes think we absolutely glorify friendship beyond what the bonds can stand, the bonds can stretch to.
And that's interesting, and certainly with the two female characters,
I stretch the bond.
What you ask of friends as well.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Pop in here if you've read the book. I'm just moving my dog out of the way because
I'll fill the screen.
Sorry, everyone. I've got a traumatized dog here, and he's having a panic attack, but he'll be okay. He'll settle in a minute. If you've read the book, or if you've read any of Fiona's other books and have any other questions. So when you were writing it, so who did you struggle with most out of the characters in it? Who did you struggle? Because the interesting thing is that reading your book, reading all of your books, you dig into some pretty, complex themes, and yet, and it's something that I keep telling myself to do in my own writing. It's keep it simple, and the threads are coming through in a simple way, so the reader isn't weighed down with the story. And you excel at that.
Oh, thank you.
So to hear that you were struggling with this, and I can absolutely understand it, having read the book and knowing the themes in it. But you don't see that at all. But was there a particular character that you?
I think, as I said before, I was concerned about. I think I struggled with Freya a little bit, but it was more. It was more the mystery aspect of the book as I started to roll that out, and so this isn't based on anyone in particular, but, we hear different things that happen to different people, and you sort of gather it all around. And so everything that happened in the book has happened to at least one person. But I got to a point where I thought, is this too much? But it needed to be what it needed needed to be.
Mm.
So, and I think I got in my own way. I didn't trust myself. I was very tired. I've written 8 big books in 8 years, and I was tired before I even started this one. And the Money Club had been an unusually relatively easy write. There's no such thing as an easy write, but that was a far more straightforward process with the plot, I thought,
Yes.
than this one was. And this one, although it's got the mystery of the secrets that start to come out, that slowly drip out after the accident, the other plot, the other themes in the book are really emotionally complex. So that's what was harder. It's very easy to say, well, in a plot, this happens and this happens and this happens. But when you're dealing with constant emotional turning points, I think that was what was hard. And I think, honestly, until I did the structural edits, I hadn't got this whole book totally clear in my head.
Yes. Okay.
So I kept tripping up.
And so it's interesting because you do the kind of family dramas and the sort of set in small town, and you cover a lot of similar themes as well. You explore a lot of similar themes. And generally you would think that those the family drama books would be more difficult to write. Would you say that this is the most difficult? But because usually in a mystery, you don't have this amount of depth in it, character depth.
Well,
which is why it's such a great read. It's like you've kind of merged both your genres in here, and it's like this is it's great. But would you say that this is the most difficult book to write for you?
I think structurally this was the hardest. I think emotionally the hardest book I've ever written was Home Fires, which was about the bushfire, because my body couldn't tell the difference between writing about the constantly being under threat versus the fact that I was writing about it and I wasn't actually living it. So I got a lot of heartburn with that book.
That's actually neuroplasticity. The brain doesn't know the difference between what you imagine and what you so you were right in it then.
Yeah, I was right in it. But this one I said, whether it was because it was harder because I was tired, whether I was getting in my own way because I was worrying about what readers might say. And I've never had that before. So who knows? But anyway, we got there in the end, although during the structural edits I had the flu. So it was like, what else is going to happen with this book? And the structural edits were huge. I started my original manuscript started in what is currently chapter 3.
Oh.
So chapters 1 and 2 did not exist until the structural edits, which there was a suggestion that I, introduce one character that is not seen very much after that. So, and I was concerned that would slow the pace down, but my editor gave me a series of reasons as to why. And I had a rocking first chapter, but it was really long. So, and it was like the readers will just be bombarded. Maybe you need to split this up a bit. And I think it set up it definitely set up one of Freya's conflicts more clearly by having that second chapter. I have a few people who said, "Oh, it's a slow start," and I was like, "So, well, that's what I said." But
build the tension actually, and really, and it becomes more of a psychological drama as well because of it. So I see why that was done. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I trusted my editor, but I was just like, because it had started. Chapter 3 is such a big bang that I thought I'll start it with this really big bang and we'll go from there. But sometimes you can obviously jump in a bit too early, and that's what I've done. So.
Or, or a lot of writers do the opposite, where they start and it's like, keep going. No, this is where it starts up here, not, we don't need all of that. So you jumped sort of even further forward.
Further in,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
So
let's
there's lots of
everything.
lovely comments here. Anna's saying evening, Fiona and Jane. Jessica says, hi, Fiona and Jane. Looking forward to reading your new book, Fiona. Yvonne says, good evening, ladies. Carolyn says, hello, Fiona and Jane. So looking forward to this interview. Stacey, hi, ladies. Love all your books, Fiona. Off to buy tomorrow. Good. Claire says, hello. Oh, Claire's watching on YouTube. Oh, great. Therese, good evening. Joy Bell, hello. I'm so excited to get this book. All your books have been amazing. I love that. Christine says, Fiona, I absolutely loved A Family of Strangers. I'm excited to read your new book. Joy Bell says, great questions, Jane. Thanks, Joy Bell. Evelyn says, love the sound of this book. Can't wait to read it. Anna says, more books to add to my reading list. Yeah. Great. So talk to me about your writing day, like your process of writing a book, because as you say, you have been writing 8 books in 8 years, so a book a year. So you're not only writing a book, but you'd be at different stages of the editorial process with the book that's ahead of it. So how does your work day look?
Well, a lot of readers say, I've been having them saying, oh, have you come up with an idea for next year's book yet? Not understanding. So I just want to say that the whole publishing schedule is 12 months in advance.
Yeah.
So normally a book comes out in March and I'm doing all the promotional stuff while I'm frantically trying to finish a book that's due in toward the middle of April that will then come out the following March. So that's always a challenge, because you've got your creative brain and you've got your publicity brain, which is very, very different. So how it normally goes is this: a book comes out and I do the promotion, and then I frantically finish the book toward the end of April, and I hand it in and fall in a complete heap for a couple of weeks, and then I start thinking, oh God, I've got to come up with a book idea for the next book. So that's when I start listening to, if I haven't got any ideas, and normally I've scribbled down a few things, maybe might have legs, not have legs, but I listen to podcasts and I read The Good Weekend. I especially find that the Two of Us column is a really good thing. So I find country newspapers. I've got, people's lives and all those little things. And I start to, but I always normally have a social issue in the book, and I've got a couple in this book, no different. So I normally start with the themes and then I'll generate the characters. And I start writing lists. I find a lot of that comes works better for me if I handwrite that sort of stuff and then type it up. That sort of helps. And then I'll bat it back and forth with my publisher, and we'll have a bit of a conversation. And, she normally has a really good idea. In fact, I've dedicated The Accident to her for her pearls of wisdom, that she normally adds at least one pearl of wisdom to the manuscript. So, and then just as I'm thinking, well, I'll open the new Word document and I'll actually start writing. And unlike a lot of authors, it's very rare for me to have any idea where I'm starting the book. I've only had about 2 books where I've been gifted with the opening scene. So normally I don't quite know where I'm starting, and I'll jump in. But then the edits will come for the next year's book. So that's shelved. The structural edits take about 4 weeks and of very intensive work. And then they go back, and then I pull out these few cobbled together pages that I'd started, and I kind of go, well, what the heck was this about again? And reread.
Yeah.
And off I go for about another month, and then the copy edits arrive. So then again, that gets shelved, and the copy edits take about a month, or 3 weeks. So I do that. And then normally I have a week's holiday or something. And then then there's a bit of period of time where you go along and you get quite a bit written. And then the typesetting lands, and that's normally in November. And I'm not even halfway through the book then. And it's November, and you know what November's like, what the world does, well, what Australia does in November, the pace goes up. So then you're trying to write, and you've got Christmas and everything, you've got summer, and then you start getting all this, wonderful pre-publicity stuff, and Fiona, can you write this and can you do that? So then February, normally all I am doing is writing frantically so that I can clear March for promotion and still have a hope of finishing this book. And having done that for 8 years, I didn't do it last year. So I handed in the accident and curled up in a ball in fetal position. And I've taken a little bit of long service leave. I've done all those edits that I talked about, but I didn't start the book. And so there won't be a 2026. No, 5. Sorry. What's next year? 2025. Yeah. But there will be a 2026 and 27. So
and good on you. You deserve a break too, because that's massive. That's a massive. So do you work 9 to 5, or do you?
Yeah, I do. I work I work about 6 days a week. So that's the other thing. I was working through. I'm not a fast writer. People say, "Oh, you're so," and I'm not a fast writer at all. So some days I get 800 words. 10 hours and you get 800 words. But then the next day you get a lot more, because at least you've got a base to jump off. So, and I'm not beset. I'm not also got thousands of ideas running around in my head. So I'm feeling really excited because I do have a new book idea and I've got a new contract, and in about the middle of April, I'll start writing again. And what will be lovely is that I can just write because I won't be interrupted.
The other process.
So that's the other part of taking a little break. I mean, it's not been a massive break, but it just gives you a bit of breathing space. And so I can have a less fraught year.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm looking forward to.
And are you a plotter or a pantser? So, moving into this new book, are you just going to see where it takes you? You said you don't even have an opening scene.
Oh, I never have an opening scene. Yeah. That's not new.
So you don't plot it.
No. Well, I am both a plotter and a pantser. So I will have a vague idea. I normally know a couple of turning points. I normally know the ending of a book, which is why I think the accident caused me so many problems, because I didn't have a clear-cut ending for one of the characters. And but normally I know the ending, and I've got a couple of turning points, but then the rest is really, and that's the pantstery bit. Yes. And I often find that something that you've written in a scene that you didn't even think twice about, then comes back to be a real totem, or becomes a quite a big part of the book. That always fascinates me.
It's interesting, isn't it? They have their own agendas. Some of these characters,
I think actually your brain just picks up and starts to churn on it and thinks, that could work. I spend a lot of time in my process. I spend a lot of time going backwards to move forwards, because I don't write one clear draft and then go back and write another draft and another draft. I tried that once, and instead of going that way, I sort of went right over there, and it was a disaster. So I edit what I wrote the day before, and then I keep going. And so then I have a clean book by the time I'm finished. So I do it that way.
And do you once you're finished, do you send it off, or do you go back through one more time? And I read it all and redo it again. But what I'm saying, but when I find I'm stuck, something is not right, it normally means, what I've learned is, it means that there's an important bit of information earlier that I haven't put in. So then I go back and I fix it. Yeah.
And get all that cleaned up and fixed, and then I can move forward. I know lots of people just circle and say, I'll come back to that and do it. But I'm a little bit anal retentive, and everything has to be
Yeah,
just.
look, I'm a little bit like that too, and I always start the day reading what I did, but it's like I feel like it's pulling threads through. You got to see what those threads are, and then you just keep going with them. So yeah, and so out of the different genres that you like, is there what's your next book like? Because maybe that's going to tell us. But is there a place that you enjoy working from most, or is it really what's the idea that comes to me, and how am I going to deliver this? What's the best delivery?
Well, yeah, I suppose, I don't know. I'm fascinated. My stories always start from theme and character. Although yes and no. Look at the Money Club. That actually, that was the well, I wanted to write. I thought, well, wow, how would that impact on people's lives? So I took an event, but that's the same with the accident. It's like that moment, and some of us have experienced and some of us haven't, but there is a moment where your entire life changes and it's completely out of your control. And whether that's death, whether that's a diagnosis, or whether it is a very abrupt loss of job and income and house, it has a devastating impact on you. And I love looking at how different people cope in very different ways, and that depends on where they've come from and what has happened to them before. And the next book I've got, it is an event that sparks it off. It's not an awful event. It's on the outside it looks like a fabulous event, and but yeah, it turns out to be a woman's journey. I don't like talking about projects that I am in the middle of or even have started, because half the time I don't know what I'm talking about. I know
yes.
And also, I don't know about you, Jane, but when I submit, and it's always very sketchy, I submit a very vague outline and I say, well, these are the themes and these are the characters and what they believe about themselves. And it starts off and this will happen and this will happen. And then I write, trust me, because I normally don't know. And then when I pull that document out at the end and I read it and I look at the book that I've got, I'm like,
completely different.
Except for the themes, nothing like.
Yeah. So the theme actually drives the direction that you go.
And what the character believes about themselves.
And so your background, you were a midwife, sexual health counsellor and family support worker. And as you say in your bio, it's an ideal career for an author who writes novels about family and relationships, but also about, issues that come up and personal issues and the way that people cope with them and the psychology behind them and everything. And that's all weaved into all of your stories, which I find fascinating. But I love this. Although she often rewrote the endings of her books in her head, it was the birth of her first child that prompted her to write her first novel. Why is that with so many women that, we go and we give birth to a child the busiest time ever and go, I know what I'll do. I'll write a book as well.
Well, I one of the themes in this book is women's is motherhood, and I actually believe that in 2020, one of the questions I pose is, do women really have a choice to have children?
Yes.
And of course we have a choice, but we have a society that really, really wants us to have children. We have the baby bonus. I got married very young, didn't know whether I wanted kids and was too busy with work to even think about it. But once I'd been married for 2 years, people were saying, when you're going to have, you're going to have a baby, when you're going to have a baby. And, I didn't know whether I was going to have a baby until about 7 or 8 years after I got married. And then I couldn't have a baby. I had infertility. So then we went through this whole infertility treatment, and were we going to do IVF, were we going to do overseas adoption, or we did all that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I am answering a question, and that was so I had taken so long to finally get this baby. I really didn't want to be going back to work full time, and I heard this interview about novelists and things, and I thought, I'll stay at home and write books and work around the baby, which is like hormones, it was like crazy. And I had no idea what I was doing, and I don't know where this had come from, because I'd never really thought about writing a book before. I mean, I was a big letter writer and I journaled, but really it hadn't been a huge life goal to write a book. It was literally, I don't want to be working full time. How can I work around the baby? So that's how I came to write the book. So were
you a big reader though?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any author on the planet that isn't a reader. I think you're a reader first, and you're an author second. And I grew up in a family that was a big reader, and I learnt to read in Papua New Guinea, and we didn't have any television. You would once a month or every couple of months there'd be a film on at the school, and you could go and see that. But there was no other entertainment. So I had to learn to read fast. I went off to school, and it's like, I mean, that my parents were great. They read to me, but it was like, learn to read because we're all reading.
Yes.
So and I've always been very happy to lose myself in a good book, although I have to be busier.
And who would inspire you, like other authors that you read in your downtime? Who would?
Well, I just love a well-crafted book, so I don't have anyone really in particular. I read broadly. I've just finished reading Larissa Brent's After Story, which I thought was fabulous, and oh my God, why didn't I think of this? I mean, it was for an author and for people who are keen readers to have a UK literary tour as the structure to hang this book off that is about so many different things. It's about racism and prejudice and trauma, and yet it hangs off this structure. That blew me away. That's my latest wish I'd thought about moment.
Isn't it wonderful when you read something and you go, and it's kind of an envy born out of total admiration.
Absolutely.
It's just
and
like,
I've stopped
wow, wish I'd come up with that. How great. Yeah.
And I've been running around saying, you've got to read this book. And I think just before Christmas, I read Tea Time at Cinnamon Gardens.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that.
Great.
But I read widely, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yes, so do I now too.
I don't have a lot of time to read.
But and is this in audio? Is the accident? Yeah. And have you listened to it?
I haven't got my copy yet, but I've been really, really fortunate. All the 8 books have been narrated by Rebecca Macaulay, and she's amazing. And so I'm sure she's done an exceptional job with this
certainly
one.
if she knows your work and has done it in the past. It's an interesting experience to listen. I'll just I'm giving my dog a head massage. Well, that's
that's fine.
It's like he's the poor thing. He's a rescue. He's just a mess. Okay, so Ria, I have the Money Club on my shelves. I need to read my library books first. Oh, you'll get there, Ria. Malvina, hello, Fiona and Jane. Good to see you both. Yvonne, I've read Fiona's other books and I'm waiting for The Accident from the Library. Excellent. Jessica, I've read quite a few of Fiona's books. I've loved them all. Excellent. Joy Bell, 8 books in 8 years. Wow, well done. I've read 7. Good on you, Joy Bell. That's excellent. Yes. Happy Valley's books read. Hello. It's a fantastic book. Yeah, definitely. And Coralie says, can't wait to get this one. Your books are amazing. Kim says, love your books, Fiona. Look forward to this. So Fiona, how different is this book is a question from Joy Bell.
I don't think
sort of covered a bit of that, but yeah. So
I really don't think it's that different. I
no.
mean, we don't. I've been, there's a couple of things that happen early on, and you'll be thinking, well, is that the accident or is this the accident? And I'm being deliberately vague about what. It clearly says on the back cover that there is a car accident, but so I'm not giving away any spoilers. But you don't find out who it is for a bit, and I don't think you're really going to fully guess the ramifications of the accident. You got to keep reading for that one. So yeah, it's just got a bit of a mystery thread, in as much as one character slowly discovers that everything she ever believed about her life is actually been a lie.
Yeah, it's this look, what I will say, because I kind of don't want to open my mouth about some of it in case I let something say, because the joy of it is to actually just read it and uncover this that's so shocking. But as I said to you before, I know people in real life who similar things have happened to, and so the tension for me was in this is just so real as well. These are real people this is happening to. So, and that's a theme in all of your books actually. But what I love here, I love Joy Bell here has said, Jane, you look tired, poor love.
Yes.
Oh, Joy Bell, I'm buggered at the moment, but
she's been really busy running around with her book. Oh, which way? What, running around with her book, you see. So Jane and I have both got books out 2 weeks apart. So she's that's what I'm going to look like.
A lot of going around to bookshops and traveling, and so. But what I love here, and a lot of books have book club questions. These are very good book club questions, and I would recommend this book highly for a book club. So, and we're out of time, but just because Fiona can also come back on and answer anything and make comments on anything. So please keep the comments coming. Also, we read them all. Let us know if you have a book club. Okay. And because it's I like to see who's got book clubs, but there's so many interesting themes to be talking about. With a glass of bubbles, Joy Bell, and and some friends, and it's a great book for discussion. So Fiona, I could talk to you all night. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about the accident. The accident is out now. Just to wind up, because I know some people might have come on a little late, so give us that elevator pitch. Just one last time.
Okay.
Because sometimes they come in and they've missed the beginning.
The accident is about two couples the men have known each other since kindergarten, and the women are very good friends for the last couple of years, and they've got their lives all mapped out, and they're looking forward to a wedding, and then there is an accident, and it completely turns their lives upside down. It changes everything they believed about themselves, about each other, and it stretches the bonds of friendship to breaking point.
And I loved that as a starting point, because when you're young and you've got your couples and the friendship, and and you're together, and then you've got your lives mapped out, not only as a couple but with the other friends, it's a really good starting point for this story. So congratulations. It's an excellent read. I'm no doubt going to be seeing a lot of it on the Better Reading platform. And Fiona Lowe, her latest book is The Accident. Let us know if you've read it. Let us know if you're going to. Keep the comments coming. And thank you, Fiona. Thanks.
Thank you very much.